There's no. Figuring out this interface. Welcome, welcome everyone to an irrevocable life. Welcome, welcome everyone to an irrevocable life. Press copy. Figure this one out, people. Having an issue live. Don't see. Where's my. And invite. Settings. Recording. Hello, hello. We're trying to figure out this technical side, folks. Bear with us, everyone. Coach will be in shortly. Distinguished guest will be here shortly, guys. Until then, let's see. Let's go into the private chat. We are here. We are here, and I'm just going to read some things here while I'm on here from Proverbs. To get a nice foundation for what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome, welcome everyone. We are waiting for our guest to arrive. We'll be here shortly. Now, from Proverbs, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. And the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So, to know wisdom. And the Bible says that wisdom is the principal thing. And with all of our getting, to get wisdom. And so, one of the things that we're going to gain today is wisdom, and not just a general wisdom, but a wisdom that is specific and detailed. You have general wisdom, which is like a general earthly knowledge of things, right? Like kind of like don't touch the stove. It's hot. That's like a general thing that you learn. If you touch the stove, you'll find out that you will get burned. But a more specific wisdom for heat or for fire would be, hey, I can turn this thing on and cook an exceptionally wonderful meal from the heat, or from the fire, or from the electric that's coming from the that source. So that would be a more specific or specified piece of knowledge and wisdom, right? And there was another guy in the Bible. One of them, there's many people in the Bible, but one was by the name of Solomon, and he had a wisdom unlike anyone in his day, and was one of the richest men on the earth. And one of the things that he asked God was, hey, you know what? I'm like a little child. I don't know how to come in or go out. I need an understanding heart. And so let me take this call real quick, guys, and we'll be right back. Hello.
Question, bro. Hey, re-email what you sent. I'm looking through here. I don't see it no more.
Okay. All right.
So just so it could be at the top, so I can click on it right away.
Yep. Give me 1 second, Coach. All right. I just sent it, Rick.
Okay. I'm going to come in now.
All right.
Okay, thanks, bro.
Yes, sir. Hello, 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 hello. Let me know when you get it, distinguished guest. All right, where are we at here? Here we go. Here we go. All right. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. All right. All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, and hello to everyone. A short note. Yep. Just a second. Just a second. Yep.
Okay. Now,
hello, hello, hello. How we doing today, Brother Rick?
doing fine. How are you, Jerrell? God bless you, Doc. How you feeling?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Apologies for everyone to the delay here, but a short note before I introduce my guest today. There are many questions and multiple nuggets of knowledge I'd like to unbox for you guys today during this time. And if we were sitting down for a meal, right, we would only get to a few appetizers, right? So for those who stay for the full video to the end, I'll share an opportunity that you'll be able to take advantage of at the end. And my guest will share some wealth tips. So I've highly anticipated this moment and this time, and to be able to share with you guys such a highly valued, wise, successful, frank, humorous, yet no nonsense man. He's a mentor to many. He's a faithful husband, a father, and an accomplished author, an uncommonly effective communicator, and a multi-millionaire. Please welcome with me, guys, Rick, the Wealth Coach. How you doing today, Brother Rick?
I'm doing phenomenal, Jerrell. Top of the afternoon to you, my wonderful friend. How are you?
I am well. I am well. Very well. And so, Brother Rick, if you could tell us a little bit about your background and where you grew up.
Okay. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I got into the real estate business back in around 2016, I believe it was. I got fired from a job I was working for no reason of my own, just people meddling and being how folks act people act when you're on plantations. It was dark when I went to the job. It was dark when I was leaving, so I never saw the light. I had so much dust in my system. It took about 3 weeks just to get the dust out of my lungs. We're working back and forth in the warehouse that I wasn't going to quit, but God was so good that he said, I got better plans for you. So since you're willing to do any kind of work, then I'll be willing to help you to do the kind of work that you were really called to do. So that's how I took off from once I got fired from there. Fortunately, my wife Shantae was able to pay bills while I was broke. I didn't have any money. So so I started doing some stage plays in 2016. And I started doing them actually in 2013. But in 2016, I was doing a stage play called The Hustler, because I write and produce stories from the Bible and I make them urban like they happen today. So this story is about Jacob and Esau. So I play the role of Jacob in it. We've done it 25 times. And we grab young cats from the hood and I let them play my sons because I come from the hood. And so I'm so used to seeing people get shot and murdered and maimed and raped, robbed, and pillaged until I found this out about people. They aren't half as mean as they are idle. And the best thing to do for somebody is to give them something to do. So when people get something to do, you see a whole new person out of somebody who, may have otherwise been doing a whole lot of nonsense. So we got these young cats and they play my sons in the play. They play the 12 sons of Jacob. And we teach for 3 months while they're coming back and forth to the rehearsals, discipline, how to get on stage, how to look at people in the eye, speak with authority, all the things that cowards don't do, because cowards carry guns and pistols around because they're cowards. They're scared. They get a whole lot of messed up stuff going on the inside of their brain, which makes them do really buck wild activity to be seen and noticed and acknowledged because their self-esteem is so jacked up. Narcissistic people have very low self-esteem. That's why they're narcissistic. People think the narcissistic people got a lot of self-esteem, but they don't. They really it's just disguised and all that grandiose, like all the crazy stuff they be rapping about. I'm this, I'm that, I got this, I got all that superficial crap that don't mean nothing. So I grab these young cats out the street and they play my sons, and it changes a lot of their attitudes and their temperaments and their dispositions, just being around some discipline and around somebody who from the hood but love Jesus Christ. So ain't afraid to die. So when I'm talking to them, I'm not afraid of none of them. So I'm like, hey, you can do right. You're gonna get dealt with. So you do it. You pick your poison, how you want to do it, but you're not coming around here with the same attitude. Pull your drawers up, pull your pants up, straighten up your belt. Come in here with some dignity, some honor, some respect, some grace, and that's how we're going to get down. So I was doing my plays in 2016, and a guy came in and showed me how to do some real estate. And I went and did one deal and made more money than I would have made all year when they fired me from off of that plantation I was working on, because I wasn't making money doing the plays. It was just something that really was helping people with their lives, but it wasn't a money making process. So that's how life evolved for me. I went from doing that. God blessed me so much to do real estate after deal after deal after deal after deal, because somebody showed me how to do a deal, until I started doing 6 figures doing real estate deals. And then I learned about how to operate private. So I started doing the trust business, and that's been going on now for the last 3 or 4 years now. And now we've been able to meet people clear across the world and show everybody how to live a private life. It's produced millions of dollars. But that's my story in a nutshell, coming from pretty much nothing to where we are now, at least financially, but more importantly, where we are now, mentally, emotionally, and with gratitude towards God, and able to really get things done at a high level to make sure that His kingdom is promoted, because that's what it's all about, the kingdom of God, baby.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Rick. You mentioned about working at a warehouse and then doing stage plays as well. And then you mentioned about going to real estate and making 6 figures. And then you mentioned also about operating privately from a private trust. I'm sure many are wondering, Rick, how did you identify the opportunity to create trust for people? Where did you discover that?
Hey, everybody should read my book, Control Everything, Own Nothing. That's my first book that I wrote. And I describe it real vividly there. What happened was that I was doing real estate, and in 2019, I was doing real estate. 2018, 2019, we were doing good. I mean, good for a guy that was broke, that came from nothing, so we was doing good. But I said, there's got to be a better way to make more money. It's the way these 1 percentiles are making money. And I figured, but the heck, it takes just as much time to make 100 million as it take to make $1 million. Take just as much time to do something that produces generational money as it does to do something that produces money. I don't want my money to run out. I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. Nobody in my family has ever been a millionaire. So I want to become a millionaire, but I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. So I was wondering, so what do you do so that you can sustain your wealth? So when you're thinking, this is why people need to understand the power of focus. When you really get to thinking about something, the people just show up in your life based on what it was that you were thinking. So I was thinking, it's got to be a generational way of doing this. So my brother Jerrell introduced us to the guy named Cedric. He told us about this guy was having a meeting in Chicago about trust. So I was like, oh, okay. I said, that's cool. So we went to the meeting. It was at a private club up on around the 98th floor, this private club on Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago, where you can look out over the boats and all of that. So the guy's up there talking, and he is really getting it. The guy's name is Cedric Brown. So I'm like, this guy is smart. I say, this guy, he was explaining about a tax-free private trust. And I'm like, and talking about common law. And I was like, wow. I was like, it's amazing, man. I didn't even know such thing existed. And I'm like, well, the IRS can't be in your business. Then I found out about the IRS, the thing, nothing but a company with an EIN, just like everybody else, headquartered in Puerto Rico. Ain't even no government arm or nothing like that. And I was like, oh, I was like everybody else. I thought these guys was gangsters. And I'm like, they could just tell you what to do, and they could just take your money and all of that. Found out that they ain't really got no jurisdiction over nobody who understand the law. And that they do what you tell them to do. They don't dictate to you what to do. So I didn't realize that. So when I came out of this meeting, I said, hey, man, I said, everything you said blew my mind. But who's living like this? So Cedric said, how about Tim Brown from the Oakland Raiders? I said, Tim Brown. I said, the football player, the Hall of Fame guy? He said, yeah. I said, how in the world am I going to meet him? He said, you want to talk to him right now? I said, you got Tim Brown's phone number? And he said, you're one of my clients. I'm like, what? I said, man, I call him right now then. So he called him, and Tim gets on the phone. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, hey, Rick, how you doing? Cedric told me all about you. This is Tim Brown. I'm like, shut the front door. I said, how you doing, Mr. Brown? I seen Tim do his Hall of Fame speech. And And I knew that Tim was a saved guy that loved Jesus Christ. I can tell he did, because he was bold about it. I'm bold about it. Let everybody know that Jesus Christ is my savior. I don't care about how much money you got. Ain't nobody important. What's really important is serving God and being in his will and being able to meet him in peace one day. So I was just so enamored that Tim was on the phone, because I got a lot of respect for this guy, not just about money, but about who he is, how he loved God. And because God saved my life, and I give him all the glory and all the credit, because I'm from the hood. I ain't got good sense of my own, but with Jesus, I got a lot of sense. So me and Tim started talking and said, Tim, what's going on with these trusts? He said, bruh, I don't buy a hamburger unless I buy with my trust. I said, huh? He said, can't nobody sue me. Can't nobody take my money. Everything's set up for the kids coming up after me. And I'm like, whoa. I said, man, can we talk about this somewhere? He said, yeah, we can come and meet at the U.S. Open that's coming up. So we met at the U.S. Open back in 2019 in the University of Notre Dame, where Tim went to school, where he was a Heisman Trophy winner. And we sat down and we talked. And we even have that interview on my YouTube channel at Rick the Wealth Coach on YouTube. If anybody would like to watch it. We made a condensed version of it. We talked for about an hour. And the man didn't charge me any money, anything, just great favor. He just wanted the whole world to know how he was living. And that's how I got into the trust business. Once he taught me what to do, I went and found common law trust experts. And then we all started working together so they can create the trust. And then God told me to tell the whole world what's going on. So that's how we got where we are right now, Brother Jerrell.
Wow, that's excellent. Excellent, Brother Rick. So you mentioned about tax-free trust, and that you were able to meet Tim Brown, and you found out through him that everything is set up for your family inside of that trust. That's definitely not something that I grew up hearing, and I'm sure that a lot of the audience hasn't heard. Another question I have for you, Rick, is, does the IRS or the government want people to know that they can get their deposits back during tax season? Is that something that, that they're for or against, would you say?
Well, the IRS just does what they're told to do. They're neutral. They don't care. If you know the law, then they behave according to the laws that you know. Now, naturally, the way that the laws are written up, the tax laws, they're written up extremely confusing to the average person. So the average person doesn't know any tax laws that actually produce tax credits for them and actually gives them back returns. Most people, they only know about the laws, including their accountants for that matter. They only know about the laws that where you can break even or you end up owing a whole lot of money. So the IRS is a company, and they just work for profits just like any other company does. So they don't have anything to do with you learning what you learn. Okay, you learn what you learn based on your own personal attempts or your own personal seeking of knowledge. So they acknowledge when you learn what you learn. That's why we just got $1 million tax refund from the Department of Treasury, because the IRS cooperated with us getting our bank deposits back because of the paperwork that we filed. We filed Schedule Bs, and we know how to made 1099Bs. We know how to file 1099As. We know how to file 1099 OIDs. We know how to file 1099 NECs. We know how to file the paperwork that produces the returning back of your bank deposits. We know how to file it. Our accountants know how to send it to the IRS. We have an accountant that has a memorandum of law. And so we just know what most people just don't know. So when I met Tim and I found out there was a whole new world that was going on around us, not new, but new to the average person. I found out this is how the Rockefellers behave. This is how John Pierpont Morgan behaves. This is how everybody who set up this monetary system that we have, they all operate out of trust, and that's why they run the world. So I found out the people who run the world, they don't own things. They don't own things. They control everything. But they don't own anything. So the whole idea of making plenty of money is not to have the liability, but to have the control over it. And that's why I wrote the book, Control Everything, Own Nothing. So that's how we got started. And that's what Tim introduced me to. And to answer your question, though, they're neutral. They don't care whether you know or whether you don't know, but they're not going to teach you nothing. You have to learn it on your own. Wow. If that makes sense.
Yes, for sure. That's amazing. Brother Rick, in your business, what did you not know at first that when you found out, it took the business to a completely new level for you?
Well, in our management business, when I found out that you can get your bank deposits back. That made all the difference in the world. I didn't know, because now I found out that you don't have to work to make money. Now I found out how that your money can work harder than you work, because when I found out the law that says that the creditors do everything he puts into the debtor system back year per year. So I didn't know that. I knew it was a law that said that. I realized that, excuse me, that was legal and lawful. I didn't even know that existed. I thought that you just didn't have no choice, but when you make a deposit, they keep it. So once I found that out, that was a game changer. And once I started teaching people that, that's why my wife was so happy. It's the first $1 million check that I passed out to any of my clients. That was the very first person. And we filed a tax return back in 2022. And here we expected to take about 3 years to get a returns back for these big checks, but it came in 13 months. So we were happy about that. So she's our very first millionaire that we created in Stellar Wealth Management from. She's the first one that we created just no work. Now we create millionaires because we teach a person how to have $1 million a day by creating money online, because we are online marketing geniuses. We know we get millions of people to watch what we do, and we can teach anybody how to do the same thing, and you can sell products clear across the globe. So that's but as far as the business is concerned, what really turn things around is learning that the creditor is due what they put into the debtor system. So becoming a creditor is the most important thing for everybody that intends to leave an inheritance to their kids becoming a creditor. And that's what private trusts do. It makes you the creditor and not the debtor. And of course, we're professionals that create those. That's what we do for people every day.
Wow. The creditor is due what they put in the debtor system.
Correct.
That's amazing. And you mentioned about having $1 million days online. That's unheard of for people. Some people, might say that's impossible. But what would you say to those who, don't pay much attention to all the traffic and things and commerce that happens online, Coach?
Yeah, I've got several of my colleagues. We, $1 million. I've got colleagues who made $9 million in a day. So that's no big deal at all. See, because if you have the whole world watching what you're doing, and you create something that draws everybody in, and everybody can make a decision in that day to buy something. If you had 1 million people and they all just gave you $9, you just made $1 million. You just made $9 million. All right. And we live in the internet era. So we have videos that about 4, 5, 6 million people watch, and that only took us 60 seconds to make. So if you're selling something, if you make a video that takes 60 seconds to make, and you get 6 million people to watch it, and then you tell all 6 million people that we have a product that only costs $1, and then all 6 million decide they want to buy the product, then in one day you can make $6 million. So it sounds incredulous to somebody who's living in an era that's gone by, but we're in the internet era, we're in the online era, and for everybody who's not making their money online right now, they're making money slow compared to the era that we're in. And it's just like, when the cars came out, some cats, they was complaining because there wasn't no more horse manure in the streets. It's like, hey, what happened to all the horse manure? We love that beautiful odor. So they complaining about cars when ain't gonna be no more horses running up and down the street no more. So that's the way it is today. If you want to make a lot of money and you want to make it fast, then learn how to do online marketing and sell anything you want to sell to the whole world. And because the Bible say don't labor to be rich, because you ain't gonna get rich laboring. You get rich by bringing everybody to you at one time, giving them an opportunity to buy something. When they buy it, your money is made in volumes, and that's the way we make money, in volumes, and that's what we teach people to do.
Okay. Wow. No more horse manure in the streets, and people were complaining about cars. That's amazing. What obstacles, Coach, did you experience at the start of your dream that proved very valuable later on?
Well, what I've learned about the difference between and distractions, what I've learned is that the disruption is the very thing that makes you rich if you don't let it become a distraction. That's what I learned. Okay, for example, I had $50 in the hotel room, made it to Indianapolis. Okay, why? Because I all the stuff that had happened to me previously, I've been locked up for 1.5 years, didn't have no money, I didn't know anybody in the whole city. But if I hadn't been in Indianapolis, I would have never met the guy who taught me how to do real estate. If I had never been there, I would have never met Shantae, who runs the empire that we run together. So what people don't understand is that the disruptions that take place in your life, they are really the way. People think they're in the way. I'm like, no, they are the way. And if you understood that, then you wouldn't be running away from the disruption, because then it becomes a distraction. So that's what I learned about business, and that's what I learned about things happening. When something goes awry, it appears to be something that's that could stop you from being able to make it, or that can just make you run, tuck your tail, and go do something else. But that's not why it happened. It happened because it is the way. It's not in the way. It is the way. And once people understand it, that's why you have disruptions, because it gives you an amazing amount of character. Because as you use it, in other words, the disruption is like a trampoline. You just jump on it and bounce on up into amazing meteoric heights of success. And it's the disruption that caused the success. It's not the disruption that's in the way of the success. You just have to see it for the way it really is. But you need to be looking through God's eyes to be able to see that, because then you'll be able to see ahead of time that God did this. He allowed this thing to happen. Even if it was your own doing, it doesn't matter. All that's irrelevant, because God always makes lemonade out of your lemons if you allow him to. So that's why I'm here standing in front of you right now, because of the grace of God, and because of seeing disruptions for what they are and not allowing them to become distractions. If that makes sense to you, Brother Jerrell.
For sure. That's a totally different way to look at disruptions in my life. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Disruptions in general, but to flip that like you did and say, hey, this disruption can create millions for you and for me. And it's the way, instead of running away from it, to embrace that. That's a totally different way of thinking.
Yes, sir.
So my next question for you, Brother Rick, is at what point did you consider your business a success? From what?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's called living from your future. So instead of going towards your future, living from your future. So your business is, this is the way I do things. I make goals that are unachievable based on my current status, and I continue to make them. And the reason that I do that is because it forces me to do something that I was not doing before in order for that goal to become a reality. So as we speak, I have a goal for making $30 million for the rest of the year, this last quarter of 2024. So that goal forced me to do some things differently than I was doing before, creating some new marketing systems, forming some new partnerships, developing products that had not been developed before. And it made me delegate everything that I don't want to do, because I just don't have time to do it, because it won't add up to the goal. So what happens is that when you see something in front of you, and then you say, I'm going to work towards this thing that's in front of me to bring it into fruition the fastest possible way, then you stop doing about 80% of what you was doing. So that's what success is. Success is continuously having goals, because if you look at, I'm successful now, then that means that you won't raise the bar, you won't raise your floor. So when you raise your floor, then that means that you raise the least amount that you're going to settle for. All right. And once you raise that, then that gives you the ability to be able to do what you couldn't have done before. So success is not some place that you arrive at. Success is a succession of higher levels of being able to do something until the day that you die. I call my business a success. I would call my business a succession in process, in progress, if that makes sense to you, bro.
For sure. Success is a succession, and continuously having goals and creating new partnerships. This is something, these are golden nuggets. These are definitely golden nuggets. You're sharing, raising the floor so that you won't settle.
Yes, sir. One note though, is that as you make higher goals and your succession progresses, always celebrate whatever happened, whether you reach the goal or not. So don't live a uptight type of lifestyle where you're like, man, I didn't reach that goal, so I can't sleep, I can't eat. I'm agitated with all the people around me and all of that. No, if you make a $30 million goal and you only end up making $5 million, well, that's great. Okay. You say, no, it ain't. I'm a miserable failure. No, you aren't, because you raised the bar from where you were going previously before then. And now you just need to figure out what's the next adjustment. So if you give yourself like a 90-day goal to do something and it doesn't transpire, but you did so much better than you would have if you had not raised the floor the way that you did, but you still got to celebrate and enjoy the ride, because life is nothing if you're not enjoying every single day of your life, because you don't know if you're going to have tomorrow. The Bible says, take no thought for tomorrow, for thou knowest not what the day may bring forth. Of the day is the sufficiency thereof. So that means that every day we should be spectacularly happy and grateful, even though we're ambitious and looking to make tomorrow better than it was today. But still got to enjoy the moment. And you can do that as long as you know that you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to raise the floor. You can still celebrate, because you're not God. So that's God's job for the goal to get actually accomplished. It's your job to make the goal and do the task towards the goal to get that thing done, and to be grateful and content and happy and appreciative all along the way, so that you don't be living in the gap. The gap is where you fall down, where you fall into the gap. That's when you fall down and you have a complaining spirit and can't enjoy the day because you haven't reached what it was that you thought you was going to reach. And so if that makes sense, that way you can have a good attitude and keep that vitality up, and be a person that people love to be around, as opposed to a sourpuss,
Yeah, that's a good reminder. That's a good reminder, Coach Rick. I know that yeah, I definitely have shown that has shown up in my life, I want to say. But to keep that in mind, that to be able to celebrate small wins, and even if you didn't accomplish that very large goal that you set out in front of you. But that's a very good reminder. Excuse me. So another question I had for you, Coach Rick, is how did you assemble your team in business?
Okay. So I would read the book Oversubscribed, and that's a very good book to see. I have what you call a lifestyle business, which means that I can do business anytime, anywhere, from any place in the world. And I have a small team that's just extremely powerful. So a lifestyle business, you can make millions of dollars doing a lifestyle business, but a lifestyle business means I'm not stressed out. I work part-time. Okay. I don't want to work 8 hours a day and 9 hours a day. I have no desire for that. So for me personally, getting the right people in place, you only really need 4 people in place. You need somebody that's handling your finances, somebody that's in control of operations, somebody that's a key person of influence, which would be myself, and somebody that's in charge of sales and marketing. So the people that you put in those 4 places are the people that I have in place. I kind of do a dual role of sales and marketing, and because I'm really talented at it. So if you're really talented at something, it's okay to play a dual role. If you're really talented at something, it's really your groove, and it's something that you can do effortlessly. I can write emails effortlessly, make commercials effortlessly, and I make them better than anybody that asks me, can they work? If they like to do it for me, I'm like, but they can't do it as well. So that's the reason why I won't delegate it, because I've done that before. I've delegated those things to people, and my ideas was 100 times better, because that's my thing. Ever since I was a little boy, I used to watch this show called Bewitched when I was a little boy, and they had this dude named Darren, and his wife was on there, Samantha, I think was her name, and Elizabeth Montgomery, I think it was Elizabeth was the lady's name. They used to play their own. Anyway, I was a little boy when they used to come on. And he was an advertising guy, and I used to be sitting there saying, "Them commercials are so corny, man. I would have did this." I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm looking at his commercials and stuff, and I'm like, that stuff, man. I would do this, I would do that. So it was always my dream job to be creating commercials and stuff. It was always ever since I was a little boy. So I have an innate, like talent for it. So if you got an innate talent for something, then you can have some dual roles, but you should have a different person in every role, ideally. And if you start your business like that, then you'll start from the beginning and learn how to operate in excellence, as opposed to saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So it's always my dream job to be creating commercials and stuff. And I'm looking at his commercials and stuff, and I'm like, that stuff, man. I would have did this, I would do that. So it was always my dream job to be well, I'll do that later on. It makes sense to borrow money to hire the people who are your operations person, your salesperson, your key person of influence, and the person that's in charge of your finances to pay your bills. That way you only do what it is you're supposed to be doing, and whichever those areas make the most sense for you to be operating in. So that's how we run our business. And that's how I pick my people, the people who are cut out for those particular things, not people who, and I typically hire people from people who come around and they just really love what it is that we're doing. And they really see the vision of living this kind of culture, because our culture is self-government. That's what our culture is. You're not supposed to be governed by the United States government of America, because they're supposed to be your servants. They're supposed to be serving you. But the company, the United States Corporation of America, which poses as a country, USC 283002, Section 15A, says plainly that the United States, all capital letters, is a country, is a company and not a country. And they're not serving nobody, they're serving their own belly. So we teach people how to be self-governed, which is what the Constitution taught us in the first place. So my company, as I said, how do I hire people? Self-governed people, people who I don't have to micromanage, people who take care of their business without me having to say anything to them. And then we just give them the roadmap to go by. And then we check and have check-ins on a regular basis. But I don't micromanage anybody, because my blood pressure is 110/87. That's the way it's going to stay, baby. If you dig what I'm saying.
For sure, for sure. So you mentioned four people that you would hire: someone who's in charge of finance, operation, a key person of influence like yourself, and then sales and marketing. That's a great tip.
Right.
And
the book is oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And you mentioned it's a lifestyle business.
Mm-hmm.
No stress, as much no stress as possible.
Correct. I like that. As much no stress as possible.
Speaking of stress, Coach, how do you handle stress and fatigue in your daily life and with working with people?
And first of all, I get my rest. I typically 8 hours a day. And I believe in Proverbs 21:5, which says the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but to everybody that is hasty, only to want. Meaning that we ain't never in a hurry, because we always do things in advance. So the thoughts of the diligent, we have very big thoughts because we're diligent. Diligent means that we anticipate what's going to happen and we do it ahead of time, instead of allowing it to pile up on us, because that type of stress will kill you. See, there's two types of stress. One of them is self-imposed stress, which is joyful. It's the stress of creating, and it's a joyful stress. All right. Like today, I'm about to create a whole series of emails today. That's part of what I'm doing today, because we have a new marketing program that's coming out for people to be able to get in touch with us a lot quicker, a lot faster for them, so they'll be able to get in touch. To be able to do things with us at a quicker pace for them, because at the end of the year, everybody want to get with us because they're trying to get their bank money back, and they need to trust and everything created. So I'm creating a system to help them to be able to expedite matters for the customer for a lot better, a lot quicker. So it's fun though, because I'll be sitting there at the computer, and then another idea comes, another idea comes, another idea comes. So that's beautiful stress, because stress is necessary because it creates ideas. So people think they need to stay away from stress. I say, no, you need to stay away from the stress of negligence. Stress that creates ideas is necessary stress, and is remarkably rewarding, because it pushes the mind. The mind needs to be pushed. The mind cannot just sit and rest. It needs to be pushed. It needs to be challenged. All right. It needs to be charged. So this stress is like taking you, like Shantae, my wife, got an electric car. So I got to stop all these places all the time. Here we go again, honey. What mall you want to go to now? Why you charge this car for a whole hour? What happened to the good old days when you just get some gas in 2 minutes and just so she has to charge this car up. That's what stress is like. Stress is like it charges you and it gives you energy. So stress is necessary for energy and creativity when it's self-imposed stress, and it's not the pressure of being up under deadlines from negligence. It's okay to even have a self-imposed deadline because that stress is good too. It helps you to write books. I've written my books because I gave myself a deadline. Most of the time, I did it way before the deadline was up just because I cut everything else off because the deadline makes you cut everything off and gives you concentrated stress. Self-imposed stress is a major concentration creator. See, people can't concentrate on things. Yeah, and that's a problem. That's why people broke because they're doing one thing 1 minute, doing something else the next minute, doing something else the next minute, and they keep falling into duplicity. But when you put that self-imposed stress on yourself, you're like, I'm going to do this and this alone, and everything else is going to wait, and everybody else is going to wait until this is done, and it's a beautiful feeling. On the other hand, that stress when you don't do it in a timely manner, that's a debilitating way to live, and that's where everybody they get in the E lane on the highway. What's that? The excuse lane. Doing 1,000 miles an hour, and if you ask them something, they can come up with a multiplicity of excuses. Just a drop of a hat. Why? Because that stress that's on them, it fuels their fire to create excuses. And now they're not creating money; they're creating excuses because you've got to have an excuse to justify being so broke and being so out of control. You gotta give a person a good reason why you went through the whole day and ain't created no money. Why? Because what happened was, and then you start coming up with this and coming up with that, and really good at it too. So you can either make excuses so you can make money, and you can pick which stress you want. I choose the stress of making plenty of money and having a very enjoyable life, and I recommend that stress to anybody that wants to have a dynasty.
Wow, that's a great insight. Joyful stress sounds like a book. Joyful stress. And
watch out, brother Jerrell. You got a brilliant mind. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that in black and white coming up soon. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I appreciate that one. Stress creates ideas. You're saying self-imposed stress creates ideas, and you want to stay away from negligence. And so, what was an unexpected surprise in your entrepreneurial journey, Coach Rick?
Wow, I think I talked about it when I met Tim Brown. I was totally unexpected. I absolutely did not expect to meet a Hall of Fame football player, such a wonderful person. And that's why people around the world now, they should all thank all my friends and colleagues and people around the world that were helping. They should all thank Tim Brown. That was a big deal to me. And I was not expecting that. Absolutely not. I was not expecting to go to a trust meeting and then be sitting there interviewing the great Tim Brown. I had no idea that we had such a pleasant meeting, and it ushered such excellence into the room. And I'm just several things have happened to me that I didn't expect. I didn't expect to meet Shantae. I expected I was going to meet a wife, sooner or later, and but I went in church expecting her. She was sitting there singing in the choir. It was like she looked like an angel and just shining and everything. I said, what a brilliant person. All this, I can just feel it in my bones. So when I started talking, I started prophesying of her life. You're going to be rich. You're going to be well known. You're going to have global appeal. You're going to be extremely effective. You're going to be impactful. All these things, that I was just speaking out to her because I could just feel it in my spirit. And so I knew whoever I met and whoever I married, it was going to be a beautiful thing because I ain't going to marry nobody. Ain't going to be a beautiful. I wasn't going to marry nobody. It wasn't going to be a beautiful thing because I'm like, I'm the one picking them. So I don't really pick anything less than a beautiful thing. But I got way more than what I could have bargained for. So Shantae first, I would say. And then as far as business is concerned, running into the great Tim Brown that got my, because Tim got me in the game. And now I have trust that's so cold. I got Tim asking me how to help him. So that's the way things ought to go, though. You should always, your goal should be better than the teacher, and as a teacher, your goal should be to have students that are better than you. Then you lived a life worth living. At least that's the way I view it.
Wow, that's awesome. So, Coach Rick, knowing what you know now, if you had to start over, what would you do differently in your journey?
I I would have mentors who, as far as business is concerned, I would read the books of billionaires and multimillionaires because their stories, they show you that they stretch your brain and that you realize that, you know what, this intimidating factor about money is just that, an intimidating factor. But this person is just another normal human like I am. And look at the moves that they make and look at what they do habitually. And then you'll find out that several people who live life at a high level of success, they have a lot of the same habits. And then it'll teach you, what the heck, if I just run into these habits, then it's like going into a huddle to get a play. Okay. And if you've got Robert Smith, you know, who created his money in the financial sector, the richest black man in America. If you got Sam Zell, you know, who sold one company for $39.6 billion. If you got Steve Jobs, if you got John Pierpont Morgan, if you put all of these guys in a huddle, you know, Madam C.J. Walker, you know, if you put all these people into a huddle and you get inside and any one of them could be the quarterback calling the play, but just the fact that you're in a huddle, when you come up out of this huddle, you just got through lining up with a dream team. And ain't no way in the world you ain't gonna win. All you gotta do is just take one play from this person and one play from that person and one play from this person. And the beauty of reading is that it can be inattentional. You know, so your library is the biggest difference between having mediocre information and having monumental change information that you can actually go out and implement. So I would great minds of the past and the great minds of the present by reading their books. And then I would take a play from here and a play from there and a play from here and a play from there, which is a lot of what you hear me teaching and talking about right now. It's just a culmination of a whole lot of training I've had from really high-powered people, most of whom I've never met, never will meet. That's what I would change if I was to go back. That's what I would recommend for anybody that's starting their entrepreneurial journey.
Wow, golden insights. Coach, this is we're going to do some fun facts. What's your favorite meal?
I would say I really love spaghetti and meatballs. If you throw a little corn and mashed potatoes in there, you pretty much got me. I'm in seventh heaven right there. That's better than a ribeye.
Wow. Yep, that's one of my favorites as well. And what's the best destination you've visited lately?
I thought it was Hawaii, but after I went into the hills of Tennessee recently, I'm starting to reconsider. I really enjoy hills and I really love streams, and so just last week I was on a mountain for a few days, and I'm going back to revisit that so I can finish writing my next book that I'm writing now, which is called Humble Aggression. So I'm gonna go back into the mountains and finish writing that. I believe if I can spend 2 straight weeks, I'll be done. So I love mountainous areas. Any place that's got some beautiful mountains and got Hawaii is one of my favorite destinations, and up to before this point, that probably was it. But if it's mountainous, got a beautiful view, then I love it.
Okay, all right. Tennessee, Hawaii. Haven't been to Hawaii yet. That's a destination in the near future. And if you could name one thing you see yourself improving this year, Coach, what would it be?
Okay. Wow, I can see myself improving 100 things. So let me see if I can say the top thing. I say the top thing would be how to romance Shantae. How can I be more of a macaroni? That's what I do.
Us small folks definitely need that. That's for sure. So, Coach, what would you share with someone who's been putting off starting a business?
Oh, wow. The first thing I would say is that you need a business if if for no other reason, just to start being able to get some tax write-offs. So if you get a business, then the things that you used to just pay for, now some of those things you'd be able to write off on your income taxes. But another reason starting a business is important is because it forces you to think for yourself. And the biggest reason why people are laboring to be rich is because they work one job, two jobs, even three jobs, avoiding thinking. And starting a business forces you into the top two tiers of the value ladder when it comes down to value in the marketplace. There are 4 levels in the marketplace of value. The lowest one is implementation. You make about 80,000 because you're the one doing it. The second level is management. You make about 250 because you manage people. The third one is communication. You can make $100,000 to $100 million because you know how to say something one time and then people buy it forever. And the third one is creativity or imagination, where you can make $100 million plus because you created the actual products that people are using around the world. And so those 2 levels, you can only work those 2 levels as an entrepreneur because you got to think. Those 2 levels require communicating and thinking. And it's the best life in the world because it's the only real work. All other work is just slave work because you can only do what somebody told you to do. So you can only earn the wage of one who hasn't created anything. That's why I love you, Jerrell. You're a very creative person. I've seen some of your videos and some of the things that you're doing as we speak. And I want to commend you, young man, for actually using your brain and actually creating things. And I speak into your life, amazing creativity and depths of financial success because you're following because you're operating in that vein. So keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to see market improvement, exponential improvement as you continue to be consistent in your creativities and your creations. And that's what I would tell a person that's just starting business.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Coach. And what would you advise an entrepreneur who has started their business recently?
I would advise them to, depending on what it really doesn't matter what they're doing. I would say to hurry up and put the people in place so that you can be doing a thing that's your core competence. Hurry up and get those people in place because most people are not entrepreneurs. They're solopreneurs posing as entrepreneurs, typically because they're just cheap and they don't want to spend money and they're thinking that they're going to spend money, but they don't understand they're losing so much money because they're doing people jobs they shouldn't be doing. They don't have the momentum that they should get. And it's really a financial atrocity to be doing other people's work. So my recommendation would be to put the people in place right away. If you don't have the money, borrow it. If you can't borrow, if you don't have the capacity to borrow money, give people commission jobs. All right. And let them say, listen, you do this for me, and here's what you're going to get per customer. Give them a piece of your company or whatever it takes. But don't run around wasting a whole lot of time. I have time for one more question because I have another meeting coming up shortly, brother, and I need to get something to eat real quick. So if you could give me your very last question that you'd like to ask me, and I'll be glad to answer that.
Actually, the next thing I would ask you, Coach, is how can people get in touch with you and connect with you?
All right. What I recommend is that people get in touch with you and that they come to our financial IQ challenge through you. That's what I recommend. I recommend that you place someplace in this video your link for people to come to our challenge because we do a financial IQ challenge once a month and you're one of our affiliates there. So I would recommend that people get in touch with you through our financial IQ challenge through you so that they can learn from you as they learn through us what it is that we're doing because we are a team and you have one of my major partners on this team. And I have a lot of respect for you. So what I would do if somebody's listening to us is that I would get in touch with Jerrell. Jerrell has his own link. And if you can post that link somewhere during the course of this meeting, then you all follow that link, come to our financial IQ challenge. And we do it once a month on the first week of the month. And whatever month is convenient for you, come on in. And that's the best way to get to know me. It's $50,000 an hour to talk to me for appointments. So that's and people that pay it, they're glad to pay it because, they make $500,000 to $5 million based on what I told them to do. So that's okay if that's what you want to do. But outside of that, you want to come through the financial IQ challenge. And in order to be able to do that, you want to go through Brother Jerrell. Been a pleasure talking to you today. You are prince among men. You have a beautiful attitude, an incredible spirit. Nothing but the best to you, to your wonderful family. Everything that you put your hand towards, brother, may it turn to nothing but Fort Knox gold. And thank you so much for giving me the privilege of coming on and talking with you today.
Thank you so much, Coach Rick, for taking the time out of your day and sharing your life and this mind-expanding insight where we can go out and execute this information. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Coach.
All right, my brother, you have a wonderful day. And everybody remember that stellar is as stellar does. Take care, brother Jerrell.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Appreciate you.
So guys, you have the link in the chat there to be able to get a hold of Coach Rick and attend his Financial IQ Challenge. I'll put that in the chat and somewhere around the video. All right, guys, be well. And this has been Genuine Assets with Rick, the Wealth Coach. Be blessed, much grace and success to you.